Water! Water everywhere, but you can't have any. In his book, The Sweet Life in Paris, David Leibovitz discusses his decision to move from San Francisco to Paris and what he thought of Paris when he got there. David uses humor to captivate his readers as he explains the many differences between French and American culture. If you ever peered closely into the brackish water of the Seine, you'd probably lose your thirst in Paris, because that's where most of the drinking water comes from. Yuck! Over the past few years, the city of Paris has been making a big push to get Parisians to use less of those environmentally unfriendly plastic bottles and head back to the tap. Not only is the tap water safe to drink, or so they say, but its high calcium content is supposedly good for preventing osteoporosis. One thing they did gloss over was the fact that the heavy doses of chalky calcare ruin our wine glasses and block our shower heads. And good wine glasses are as important as good posture in Paris. The calcium requires us to add a dash of environmentally unfriendly anti-calcare to the laundry so that for those of us who bathe regularly, our towels don't scrape off a couple of layers of skin, unlike my neighbor down the hall, who apparently doesn't consider showering all that important. To encourage consumption of tap water, 30,000 fashionable glass carafes were given away at a highly orchestrated publicity event at the Hotel de Ville, the city hall. Styled by some hotshot French designer, and emblazoned with the logo in blocky blue letters Eau de Paris, the carafes garnered a lot of publicity because of their sleek design and the massive giveaway. I've yet to see one anywhere except on eBay.France. With water all around and beneath us, you'd think it would be easy to get a glass of this stuff, but it can take a daunting amount of effort to get a sip. Unlike their American counterparts who live under some decree that one must drink 8 8-ounce glasses per day, you'll never see a Parisian gulping down a tumbler full or chugging a bottle of water. Water for drinking is parsimoniously rationed in tiny shot-like glasses in restaurants and cafes, meant to be consumed in carefully controlled, measured doses. If you're invited to a private home for dinner, water usually won't be offered until the very end of the meal, if it is at all. I attended a dinner party where the hostess kept a bottle of water sequestered under the table, guarded by her feet during the entire meal. Midway through dinner, completely desiccated, I could hold out no longer and summon up the last bit of moisture in my mouth to form the words to ask for a sip. With some reluctance, she reached down to extract the bottle and poured a tiny trickle into my glass. Right after my ration was doled out, she screwed the top back on and stowed away the bottle. There's a French aesthetic about drinking glasses, whether for wine or water. They're small and they're never filled more than halfway. It's not that everyone is being so parsimonious with wine. It's just that smaller glasses look nicer on the table. Big glasses are considered not beautiful, a term the French use to justify any cultural quirk that can't easily be explained. And I agree. After all, what's the point of being in France if you're going to be not beautiful? And you don't want to ruin things for the rest of us by drinking water, do you? It can be tricky to order water in France if there's a panoply of options. Simply saying, "I'd like water," is like going into Starbucks and saying, "I'd like coffee," or going into a multiplex cinema and telling the cashier, "I'd like a ticket to see a movie." An online search revealed there are 214 brands of bottled water available in France versus 179 in America, which is 5 times the population of France. Before ordering, you need to decide whether you want a bottle or eau de robinet from the tap. If bottled is your choice, do you want still or sparkling? San Pellegrino or Perrier? Chateau d'An or Salveté? Bordeaux or Evian? If Bordeaux, do you want Verte or Hyperbole Rouge? There's also Volvic, Vichy, and Vidal. But wait, you're not done yet! Demi or Grande? Unless you specify, you're likely to get the biggest and priciest of the lot, since no waiter anywhere enjoys playing 20 questions in his non-native language, and that's your punishment. If you're terribly thirsty, spring for a bottle. Ordering eau de robinet means you may need to ask the waiter 2, perhaps 3 times before you get it, if you get it at all. They seem to have no trouble remembering those money-making bottles, but free carafes are somehow easily forgotten. The flip side of finding a drink of water is finding a place to get rid of it. This is nearly impossible if you're out and about, so it's easy to understand why the French avoid drinking it in the first place.